At first glance, it looked like just another ordinary departure, a Dreamliner lifting off beneath clear skies in Ahmedabad, India. But what happened next, only 30 seconds into the flight, shattered that illusion completely. Air India 171 didn't vanish over the ocean, nor did it plummet from altitude during a storm. It simply disappeared into a low bank of clouds and never returned. No distress call, no radar blip, no chance to react. But now, with cockpit recordings decrypted, black boxes examined, and engineers sifting through microscopic details, the pieces of this haunting puzzle are beginning to align. And what they suggest is not only more disturbing than anyone imagined, but points to a truth that could change everything we thought we knew about air safety. From suspicious cockpit audio to electrical anomalies that defy known probabilities, the truth behind the fall of Flight 171 is emerging from the smoke. But the deeper you look, the more terrifying it becomes. At exactly 1:34 p.m. on June 12, 2025, the nose of Air India Flight 171 rose gently from the tarmac of Ahmedabad's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, with 242 souls aboard, rolled smoothly down the 3,550-meter runway and into the air with no signs of trouble. Conditions were pristine: clear skies, no wind shear, no haze, no turbulence. The aircraft's pre-flight parameters were flawless, checked and cross-checked by a veteran captain and an experienced first officer. In the control tower, everything appeared routine. Yet just 30 seconds later, without warning, a gray plume erupted from the left engine, the kind of smoke you'd expect after volcanic ash or a flock of birds, neither of which were present. Within 4 seconds, the aircraft disappeared into a low patch of clouds and dropped off radar. In the distance, a low, hollow impact was felt but not understood. What had happened? And more importantly, how? In the initial hours after the crash, emergency teams worked around the clock, pulling wreckage from residential rooftops and narrow alleyways. The cockpit voice recorder, mangled but still functional, offered one chilling moment. Just seconds before all data cuts out, a whisper from the captain's seat was captured. "Why did you shut off the fuel?" Followed by a panicked response. "I didn't." Both pilots, by all measures, were stable professionals. The captain had logged over 15,000 hours, nearly 9,000 on the Dreamliner. The first officer, while newer, had extensive simulator time and clearance to operate on international routes. So how could both engines shut down simultaneously? Something with a statistical probability of 1 in 140 billion hours of flight time? Experts pointed out that even if one engine failed, the Dreamliner could have climbed on the other. But both failing together, with no bird strike, no ash, and no fire? The odds were astronomical. So the question emerged: was this mechanical or something human? Online analysts pounced quickly on the earliest footage, claiming the aircraft took off without deploying its flaps, small devices that enhance lift during low-speed takeoff. But when crash investigators retrieved the wreckage, they discovered both flaps locked in perfect 10-degree position, precisely what's recommended for Ahmedabad's long runway in summer heat. Even the warning system, a takeoff configuration horn wired into the cockpit audio, remained silent during liftoff, meaning everything was properly set. The online panic around flapless flight turned out to be a visual illusion caused by camera angle and lighting, something that had misled the public in prior crashes. Once the flap theory was debunked, experts were left with a much darker question. If the flaps were perfect and the engines were fine pre-flight, what caused the plane to lose thrust from both engines in a matter of seconds? Immediately after the crash, the Indian public latched onto a new theory: contaminated fuel. Social media exploded with accusations that the refueling truck had metal shavings, that a bad Jet A1 batch had crippled the engines. But within 36 hours, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation released chromatographic tests showing the fuel was clean. 5 other aircraft that used the same batch landed safely across Europe and the Middle East. Every sample from the Bowser truck, the underground reservoir, and the fueling nozzle passed NATO standards. Even the Dreamliner's own temperature and pressure sensors gave no pre-takeoff alerts. There was no ghost fuel. And so, another theory fell apart. What remained was a narrow, terrifying possibility. that the cause of this crash might not lie in the wings, nor in the fuel tanks, but in the cockpit. That someone, under unimaginable pressure, may have flipped the wrong switch, or worse, that a software glitch flipped it for them. As the full cockpit voice recorder was finally reconstructed, investigators noticed something deeply unsettling. During the last 45 seconds of the recording, the captain spoke with a calm but urgent tone, yet the co-pilot remained completely silent. Not a whisper, not even a gasp. Forensic audio analysts confirmed the co-pilot was still physically present in the cockpit, but his microphone? Dead, completely inactive. The eerie silence hinted at three possibilities. He may have lost consciousness, he may have been incapacitated, or he may have intentionally disconnected himself from communication altogether. That last theory was horrifying. Could this have been a deliberate act? While no concrete proof supported sabotage, records showed the co-pilot had been under immense psychological strain in the weeks before the flight. Overworked, fatigued, and reportedly showing signs of burnout, he had become a wild card, unpredictable, unstable. What had seemed like an ordinary malfunction was beginning to take on a darker shape, one that might have originated from within the cockpit itself. As the flight data was dissected line by line, a shocking anomaly emerged. Just seconds before the failure, the plane's computer switched modes, from takeoff to landing. This is not just unusual, it's structurally illogical. Modern aircraft are designed to prevent such transitions unless specific, validated conditions are met. But here, mid-ascent, the aircraft's hydraulic systems and flight surfaces reconfigured as if it were preparing to land. Boeing's official stance was simple: impossible without manual override. But deep within the FAA archives, a whistleblower pointed to a classified software module, originally designed for military applications, that had been modified for commercial use. This module had shown strange behavior during stress tests in extreme environments, including mode reversal. Engineers had dismissed it as theoretical. Now it looked terrifyingly real. Had Flight 171 been the first to trigger a buried line of code, one that sent the aircraft into a fatal identity crisis? Roughly 7 days after the crash, a technician sifting through Boeing's technical bulletins found something almost too convenient to be coincidence. A low-priority report filed just 3 months earlier titled "Auto-Sequence Disruption Under High Thermal Load." It warned of software misinterpretation when the aircraft experienced rapid thermal shifts combined with low cabin pressure, exactly the conditions present on Flight 171 as it departed under scorching weather. But here's the devastating part. That report had never been elevated to urgent status. It wasn't required to be read by flight crews. It never reached training departments. It was buried beneath hundreds of other memos. The pilots of Air India 171 had walked into a trap laid by silence, one that Boeing had unintentionally constructed and left unmarked. And now, that silence had killed everyone on board. Perhaps the most chilling detail of all came from the final communication with air traffic control. Unlike most emergencies where a Mayday or Pan-Pan call is sent out, Flight 171's last transmission was cryptic. "Systems are not responding as expected. We are adjusting manually." No urgency, no formal distress code, just a calm, almost robotic update. But when experts ran voice stress analysis on the captain's tone, the results were damning. Elevated tension, micro-tremors in his vocal patterns. He was suppressing fear. He was hiding panic. And the most disturbing interpretation? He didn't fully understand what was happening. The plane's systems were malfunctioning, but not in ways he had been trained to handle. The tools he trusted had betrayed him. And in those final seconds, the cockpit was no longer a sanctuary. It had become a puzzle with no solution, built by engineers who never imagined this scenario could be real. What happened to Air India Flight 171 wasn't just a mechanical failure, nor was it a simple case of human error. It was the convergence of overlooked warnings, misunderstood systems, and a chain of decisions made in silence. Some by people who never boarded the plane, and others who trusted those people blindly. The deeper experts dig into the crash, the more they uncover not just flaws in design or protocol, but in the very mindset that governs modern aviation. A mindset that often prioritizes efficiency over caution, plausible deniability over accountability. And perhaps that's the most haunting part of all. Because if this plane, with all its redundancies and safety checks, could fall victim to a hidden line of code. Then how many others are flying right now with the same ticking anomaly buried deep inside? Flight 171 may have ended in fire, but what truly ignited panic at Boeing and beyond wasn't the explosion. It was the realization that the systems they thought they understood may still be hiding secrets. Secrets that only reveal themselves when it's too late. If this story shook you the way it did us, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because what we uncovered here is just the beginning, and we're not done asking the uncomfortable questions.